Good hello, if you are a Harmony user then these are some preferences you will definitely want set up. This is a freshly downloaded version of Harmony 16, so everything is reset to default. And these are my preferences recommendations that will make everything a whole lot smoother. First, under the General tab, first and most importantly, in the top left section, Save, turn on Enabled. Ask before saving. This is an auto-save mode. Every 10 minutes it's going to come up with a little panel reminding you to save. I like to have ask before saving turned on because there's sometimes when you're experimenting and you don't want it to be automatically saving everything on the background. Also, if you're operating on a server or a slightly slower computer, sometimes a heavy file can take a moment to save and you don't want it beach-balling mid-bit. Other important switches up here. Focus on mouse center is very important. There is a little red border here. You see that changes as I move from thing to thing. Each section has its own set of shortcuts and only activates when you click on it normally to initialize. Having it as set to mouse on enter, it just does it automatically and you never need to think about it, which is nice. Flat toolbar. That is one I will just point out but not actually activate because it's only for people with very big screens. Even mine probably isn't quite big enough. But see all these tools with the arrows underneath, and they have a whole bunch of sub-tools underneath them. Does that all out and spans them all the way down the side. If you have a small screen, then it's just going to taper off the bottom and is actually less convenient than leaving it compact. In the settings section, these are four more, which I will leave up to your discretion. There are actually two different tween types within Harmony. If you want to learn all about them, there is an old video, but still quite effective, called Parameters and Functions in Harmony. There should be a card for it. It's like an hour long, it's divided into chapters, and you can figure out everything there is to know about pegs, elements, and the differences between separates and 3D paths. Drawings are set to one type by default, pegs are set to another type by default, and when you really get to understand what they are, you might want to have them switched around. That's where you do it. Stop motion keyframes is one that I personally like to turn on. When you create a tweened movement, any two keyframes from place to place like this, with it on, it's going to leave them unconnected. With stop motion off, it will always connect stuff together, so you're going to be accidentally animating things when maybe you just want to be locking their position. There's definitely times for both, but in general use, and having known many people using this program, stop motion keyframes being on seems to be more useful more often than not. Support gestures. This is something I recommend to have on if you're using a trackpad, or mainly more Apple-based stuff. Because then you can use all your fancy gestures to like pinch and zoom and all that fancy doodads. Next we're going to edit some colors. This red border that I'm moving around is a little bit dim against grey. Even more so, these keyframes that I'm making here, deep maroon on dark grey, that's not very helpful. So let's brighten everything up. View current border. I'm going to make that a bright orange because that seems appropriate for channel branding. And the Edit Colors button allows us to go even deeper still. X-Sheet and Timeline is where we'll be spending most of our time here. Stop motion keyframe, there's that deep thing. I recommend something very bright and vibrant, where it'd be like a green, a yellow, a pink, something like that. I'm going to choose the same orange again, just for consistency purposes, and YouTube, and everyone's face looking at my face. Yay! But feel free to have a look around here in your own time, see if there are other colors that you would like to see switched around, like say the onion skin previous and next. I like it being red and green personally, because red is stop and green is go, and Harmony 16 has colored brackets in it now, so you never get confused and you can always see it. These blue and yellow ones, oh well, they're a fancy one because they start to see onion skins through different layers. It's something that is more akin to the drawing view, and I will show you that in some upcoming feature nuggets. Like, comment, subscribe. Next, head to the Timeline tab and activate Reduce Indentation. You'll notice here, this is the onion rig, and see how it very quickly, boom, like it disappears off the side because each one is categorized in and in and in. When this activated, look at that, compresses it all the way up, so you can still, there's enough of an indentation to be able to tell what is nested inside of what, but without taking up a whole bunch of screen real estate, especially on these very complicated rigs where the hierarchy just gets nuts. If you're a first-time Harmony user, one of the things that leaps right out at you is the aliasing in the working view. Everything's kind of choppy and gritty. There is a way to deactivate it and have it smooth out. It's under the OpenGL tab, and you can turn on full anti-aliasing. However, I do recommend leaving it at least for a few days. I find that nearly everyone stops noticing it almost immediately. It's only jarring at first, and turning it on can take more resources. Leaving it off is just, everything will run smoother. But if it really does bother you after a while and it doesn't go away, there is your escape. Finally, under Advanced, this is where a few things are going to be switched up. First, support overlay and underlay layers. If you've seen the sub-layer feature nugget series, many of those talk about overlay and underlay stuff. Sub-layers are important. 4 of them are more useful than 2. There's really no reason to not have that on. Advanced display is a very interesting one, of being able to focus in on different parts of your project all at once. Advanced display pops one just all over the place. You can have different camera views, look at different things. You can have the timeline, look at something different again. This character rig is no exception. So if I scroll through these displays, there's the main one, and this one, like, it just looks at the contours, for example. But I've gone and done something even more interesting, which makes use of this advanced display feature. Control Deck has a copy of every node that is animatable, but leaving out all the pieces that are not. Cutters and composites and things like that. Don't need them. Looking at the main when it's unpacked, there is quite a dense hierarchy going on. Finding exactly what I need is a little bit all over the place, but changing this to Control Deck, here I have exactly what I need, and only what I need, ready to go. And for now, that's all you will need. I'll show you real quick how to edit your shortcuts as well. There's a certain shortcut setup that I will probably take you through, but if you want to build up your own ones, which is probably the best way, it is fairly straightforward to do, because you can search by name and search by the shortcut itself. So if there's a button that you want to assign to a thing, you can punch that button in, see if it already is set to something, and make sure you won't get any clashes or weird surprises. Are there any other preferences that you personally like to have set up that haven't been mentioned here? Be sure to share them. Sharing this knowledge between us is quite important, and I certainly wouldn't mind doing a follow-up with other interesting parts that are yet to be discovered by all the people. Okay, good luck, bye.